Hey y'all, welcome back to Tab Space. So, y'all, there's this message that I have been wanting to convey to you for some time. And I made a video and it was really difficult for me to post it because I'm like, I don't feel as though I have enough context to really get into the grasp of what it is that I want to say. And today I found that video as I was out running the streets trying to make a little money. I managed to find me a really interesting story time. And one, there were a lot of similarities between her story and something that I have also gone through a couple years ago. So it resonated with me. But it also conveyed the message that I've been wanting to convey to y'all perfectly. So I figure, why don't we just get into it? Now, I do have some other videos I want to make. There's one other video in Narc Week that I do want to make. There's another one that's in there that's a little bit of a heavy hitter. I don't really think I want to go into that. Then I also still want to get into the Mackenzie shirtless stuff. I haven't forgotten about those things. They're just on hold right now because they're long videos. And I'll be honest, your girl doesn't always have all the time in the world. Hold on, because my camera is recording me and not what it needs to be recording, which is my front yard. Anywho, so I don't always have 2 hours to sit down and make a video with y'all. And I don't know exactly how long each part of this is going to be, but I'm excited. So we might as well get into it. I'm excited to get into it because it's the perfect message. And I'm going to yap for a second here. So if y'all want to skip me yapping and y'all want to get straight into the story time, that's cool. I don't really care. But those of y'all that do want to hear this, I do want to tell y'all what my message is prior to us getting into the video. Because, yeah, that's the whole point. So what my message is when it comes to the beginning stages of dating, right? Do not ignore a single red flag. I don't care what it is. I understand. I have a lot of empathy. I've been through a lot of things in my life. In my short 25 years, I've been through a lot of things. And because of that, I'm very gracious towards people. And I give people a lot of chances. And I give people a lot of opportunities to really show me who they are. And it has backfired on me numerous times when I look back on situations that I was in. And I'm not saying that my empathy backfired. Empathy is always something good to have. But what I'm saying is that I was too gracious and I ignored too many red flags in the beginning of situations where I really should have walked away day one. And because of that, I resonate with a lot of stories that people tell because I'll be honest, a lot of us go through very similar situations when we're in our early 20s. But some of us go through these situations and we don't go through them again because we realize that this is my early 20s and this is my opportunity to make some mistakes. But some of us end up marrying those silly decisions and staying with those silly decisions for life, or having children with those silly decisions and then having to deal with that silly decision for life. And if I can teach anybody anything, it would be to be able to get out as quickly as possible, as unscathed as possible when it comes to certain types of people, because they will ruin you internally if you ignore certain red flags. And when it comes to certain red flags, you might not even realize how major these red flags are because it takes you going through something to really understand what those red flags led to. But if you don't go through it, you're going to see these little red flags and you're going to be like, oh, it's not that big of a deal. It's not going to come up again. It's not going to be that big of a problem. It's cool. I love them. They're attractive. I want to try this out. I want to see where this goes. All of these things. And it's beautiful. But it can turn very ugly very fast, and it can be a life-changing situation. And if you marry that problem or have a child with that problem, that life-changing situation may never end. So, this video is going to showcase exactly what can happen if you do ignore red flags. And if you keep ignoring them, and if you keep being gracious, and you keep being that amazing person that you want to be. I'm not saying don't be a good person. What I'm saying here is, though, when it comes to certain red flags and it comes to doing certain things, Get up out of there. Get out of there before you get yourself too far in. Every person you date, everybody you meet is going to have problems, baggage, red flags, things that are not great about them, right? But at the end of the day, when it comes to loving somebody, you choose what red flags you want to put up with, and you choose what's absolutely non-negotiable for you. And when you find that line quicker rather than later on, it saves you a lot of heartache. It saves you a lot of pain. It saves you a lot of money. It saves you time. Things that you cannot get back. So, let's get into this story time, y'all. I was watching videos earlier. Somebody broke this video down, and I want to get into it. I'm going to be pretty quiet as much as I can. Off the rippers, I don't know. Let me not speak too soon. I might have some things to say, because there are a lot of things to say from the beginning. But let's get into the video after the copyright disclaimer. Oh, and before we get into the copyright disclaimer, everything in here is alleged. I do not want to get sued. Everything is alleged. This is all for educational, satirical, and entertainment purposes. If anything in here offends anybody, I do apologize in advance. You do not have to watch if it's not your kind of content. That said, these are all opinions and everything is alleged. Now let's get into the copyright disclaimer and into the video. Alright. Alright, y'all. Boom.
Part 1 of Who the Did I Marry? First things first, I have to say that I talk kind of fast. The second thing is there are a lot of big red flags. I ignored them, and I have to take accountability and responsibility for that because I obviously played a role in being where I am right now. Third thing is I'm going to refer to them as the pronoun as they were in the story. So it will drift, and I will keep you on track. Don't you worry. July 2018, I meet a vegan, tattooed, love is light, positivity stud on Twitter. We exchange numbers, and I basically let her know, like, hey, like, I'm just getting out of a relationship. I'm super, raw right now. And she's like, oh, it's no problem. Like, just spreading all of this positivity. Now I'm going to call my ex, Melissa. Okay, me and Melissa talking every day. I'm just trauma dumping on her, and she's just positivity. And even through all of that, she on the back end like, oh, what size ring do you wear? Do you ever think you could be married? Blah, 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 like all these different.
Be careful of this one. When somebody is quick to, let's talk about marriage, let's future fake, let's talk about kids, depending on how early on. Don't get me wrong. We could have a conversation about what our intentions are with dating, and if we're dating to marry, we're dating to marry. I'm cool. Like, that's cool. It's whatever. But in the beginning, I don't want to talk about kids. I don't want to talk about getting married. Like, I don't want to talk about us in this scenario this quickly. We could talk about what our intentions are and what we plan for a future, right? What we want for a future with somebody someday. But I don't want to get immediately into talking about marriage. Like, off the rippers. Don't be asking me on our second date, what's your ring size? Because why are you trying to trap me? That's what I'm going to think immediately. Why are you trying to trap me right now? Like, why are we talking so quickly about this? But I don't know how quickly into this that they were. She did not specify that. I'm just saying. Pay attention to that type of stuff.
Cool. I'm vulnerable. I'm open to it. I'm whatever. Then through that time frame,
vulnerable. Be careful about that word right there. Be careful about what you do when you're lonely. Be careful about what you do when you're desperate. Be careful about what you do when you're horny. Be careful about what you do when you're down and somebody else may have an advantage over you. Just be careful about what you may do in these situations, okay?
Tells me like, oh, by the way, I've previously been married. I'm like, oh, okay, like we're almost 30. So in my head, I'm like, maybe that's normal. Don't get too much into the details, except for the fact that the girl kind of like robbed her blind and ran away. Cool.
Careful about that. I'm immediately the victim thing. And I'm not saying that somebody have been married is a red flag necessarily. But be careful about that. We were married, but I was the victim in the entire situation. No context as to what happened. No real context as to what you were doing in the relationship either.
Got it. So I'm like, cool, we keep talking. So we sort of skim over that. And I decided that I was going to start looking into opportunities in Texas. Yes, you guessed it, Melissa lives in Texas. And it sort of made sense because I'm like, cool, I know her, I want to start over, so why not move to Texas? So I go and visit. I get there, and the vibes are off. Like, we are just not clicking, and I'm like asking questions, like, am I doing something wrong? And she just keeps saying like, oh, you ain't never been in love before, so you probably not used to what it really feels like this is organic, and this is how it should be, and you're used to honeymoon phases.
Vibes are off, but you don't know what love is. Ain't no way off the rippers the vibes are off. Like, this should be butterflies. I should be like excited, enticed. I should be just like thrilled to be on this date. There's no way that I'm already feeling like I'm out of place. I shouldn't be here. Like, things are weird in any way, shape, or form. Go home. Don't come back. Go home and don't come back.
That doesn't exist. That's not a thing. And I'm like, okay.
Especially if somebody trying to school you off the rippers too. Why are you trying to school me? Like, because I've been in a bad situation, that means that I could have no idea what a healthy relationship could look like.
Cool. So I leave. In my head, I'm like, maybe this is just like one of those awkward situations. I leave and get back to Florida, and she calls me on my phone. She's on the phone on FaceTime crying. Oh, I gotta tell you something. And I'm like, what? And she's like, the reason things were off is because, like, I'm married. And I'm like, yeah, like, I knew that. Like, no, I'm in my second marriage. Okay. So now she's saying the reason that they got married was because the girl needed insurance. So she was like, oh, it was just supposed to be a short little 30-day annulment or whatever. And, we just ended up not going to court to get it fixed. Like, she don't even live here. I don't, whatever. I don't talk to her. Like, it's not even a real marriage. Like, we just did it for the papers. Boom. I bet you think the story is over, right? Because why would I stay with somebody that had 2 wives? Nope. Nope. Part 1 of who did I marry? First things first.
Of course it's not over. Of course. Why not?
This. Let me tell you about this. This is specific, and I'm going to tell you why. I failed to mention that in the beginning, when I first met Melissa, they continued to bring up getting each other's names tattooed. Now, the person I'm talking about, I already told you, super tattooed, and so it was just like, it didn't even seem off base for them to ask something like that. So I'm thinking about it. I'm like, I guess like I could get somebody's name tattooed, like, especially if this is like somebody I want to be with. Like, we're in a day and age.
Never I don't care. We could get married, and I don't know about that.
Age where you get a tattoo, you get it covered, whatever. But I had never had a name tattoo before, so I'm like, okay, like, this is a big deal. So fast forward. Long story short, we end up in a tattoo shop, okay? She says that she's going to get my name. I said that I'm going to get hers, and it was like, cool, we'll get them in red ink. But when we get there, she only claimed to have space for my initial, but not for my whole name. And I'm like, oh, okay, like, all right. And so I was like, I had already committed to getting the
only have space?
Full name. So I'm like, okay, whatever.
Mind you, this is not really part of this is not the second part. She's just responding to a comment. But I'm nosy because I'm intrigued.
We're here now. Let's get her done. Like, it is what it is. And so I get it, and it ended up being like bigger than I wanted. I wasn't really happy with it, and like, honestly, I just didn't feel good about it after it finished. Like, it didn't feel like this love and like warm, oh my god, we just bonded in some way together. It kind of felt like weird.
We get in the car, and I basically was like, damn, like, I'm really not happy. Like, I didn't expect it to be this big. And, like, at this point, I had put it in a place where I didn't have any other tattoos. So it was, like, kind of, you could see it, you know? And I was like, this wasn't really what I wanted. Like, especially now knowing that you wasn't going to get my full name. Like, it sort of just feels kind of like, I don't know, I don't feel good about it. I don't remember the exact conversation, but in this conversation in the car, she proceeds to tell me that multiple other women have gotten her name or a variation of it before.
She likes that shit. She likes making. She likes that level of control where I could get you to do something that I'm really not even willing to do for you. I could get you to do something that's permanent that you have to deal with for the rest of your life. Even if you get it removed, that's something that you're going to have to deal with because there's going to be a scar from that. That's fucked up.
I get the tattoo in the same day, and right after, in the car, she tells me that multiple other women have gotten her name or a variation of it. What in the cult? And, like, what's even crazier is, like, this isn't even a single crazy part of this story. This is nothing. But I really want you to remember it because it is a theme. It is a theme. It is a pattern. Hear me.
Because she be forcing people to do things that are, like I said, it's control. It's all about control. It's always about control with these types of people. I guess that was that. No, oh my God, y'all, my bad.
Part 2, who did I marry? So you guessed it. She tells me that she's been now married a second time, one of whom she's divorced to and one who she's still married to, and I should run for the fucking hills. But no, I feel sorry for Melissa because I'm like, your first girl robbed you and your second girl won't divorce you because what? Like, because now she's making these excuses on why their marriage is still continuing.
Why are you always the victim in every scenario? How are you always the victim in every scenario?
My move was already planned. My company was already paying out for everything. So I'm like, cool, like, I'll worry about that later. Because in my head, I'm like, she's making it seem like it's just like this paperwork situation, not like she's like, oh, I'm in a loveless marriage and now I'm moving on or something. It's just like this random thing. Now we're in October of 2018 and I'm moving to Texas. The initial plan was to live with Melissa, but luckily I had like a lot of, my company had paid for me to stay in a hotel until I figured it out. And like Melissa's spot was too small. First off, it was too small because it was too small. Secondly, we were just not getting along. And to be fair, I was hungry. She was a vegan. I wasn't eating meat. I was not in a good spot. Okay. I couldn't live there. So we were getting into these huge arguments. And every time at the end of the argument, I'd be like, listen, I'm just moving out. Like, I didn't want to do this. Like, I was trying to get to escape, but like, I had felt like I had already committed. Like, I committed, I moved down here, I uprooted my life. Like, you know, I'm trusting this positive vibe to somehow mend me. And that wasn't the case, so that was on me. So I tell Melissa I don't want to live there. Long story short, Melissa convinces me to get a townhome with her, not to buy.
So, we live together in her crib. It ain't working out. I want my own crib. So she convinces me, instead of living in her crib with her, for us to get a townhome and her to live with me still.
But to rent, because her neighborhood had a townhome that we could live in. Cool. I'm like, fuck it. I'm tired of looking for this spot. We can have, if maybe more space will allot us a better relationship, whatever. I mean,
Y'all are arguing in a small space, so you think that a bigger space may resolve some issues, but like, what are you fundamentally arguing about this early on? And y'all just moved in together. Why are y'all moved in together?
It was just a lot. Cool. So we get the townhome. The movers are moving my stuff into the townhome, and I'm furnishing it. I'm going to the furniture store, and I'm furnishing it. Okay? Then she's giving me dates. She's like, oh, you need to have it furnished by this date because we're having a housewarming party. And I'm like, first off, I don't even know nobody down here in Texas. And secondly, okay, come with me to the store and pay for these couches. All right? So it's still my home, so I'm not going to sit on the floor or sit on a futon or whatever. Like, I have to get the stuff that I want. So I'm getting the stuff that needs to be in a house, like, you know, lights and so on and so forth. And she plans this party. I don't know anybody. So this party starts, people showing up. I think I've only met one of her friends once or twice. One of them. It's a group of her friends. Y'all. She gets down on one knee and she proposes in December of 2018 in front of a group of strangers that I do not know, in a state that I am not from, in a house that I do not own. Part 2, who did I marry? So you guessed.
Whoa, baby, what the fuck? Like, what's going on? That's a lot to even, just off the rippers, that's a lot going on. You're proposing to me in front of all these people? And that's a manipulation tactic as well. Making you uncomfortable by off-putting you and then putting you in a position where you pretty much have to say yes.
Welcome to part 3 of Who the Did I Marry? Yes, Melissa proposes. Yes, Melissa is still married. But I'll say this. The paperwork for her divorce had been filed at this point. And I know that because I helped file it. Because she's a self-taught dyslexic, or so she claims. Melissa oftentimes needs help with paperwork. So she proposes. And I just want to say we should normalize saying no in situations where we aren't sure. Because
please, I will tell you a little bit of my little story. We got a little dual story time here. So I too started dating somebody that I had no business dating because there were a lot of red flags from the beginning. And I'll be honest, like, the main red flag off my part was that I was previously dating this person's friend. And they had moved in with me because something had happened at their crib, and they stayed with me. And while they were staying with me, I broke up with their friend, and I let them stay. And we just basically ended up starting a relationship. And as great, like, yeah, it was red flags from the beginning, because how am I dating you and you're taking me from your friend, one of your best friends at that. So messy off the rip. And then there were a lot of red flags as far as it was clear she did not like me. Like, it was clear she did not really like me. But I still stuck around. And then we did start to talk. And a few months after we started talking, while we were at a dinner with her friend, she asked me to be her girlfriend. And I'm like, cool. Yeah, I will. Because I did have feelings for her. I had strong feelings for her. I liked her a lot. And then a few months later, we got invited to go to dinner. Me and my family got invited to go to dinner with her at her family's crib. And next thing I knew, she got down on one knee in front of my family and her family. And I had doubts that it was time to do that because we had just started dating. I don't even know how long prior. It was either 2 weeks or 2 months. One of those ridiculous timelines. She asked me to marry her. And I said yes. And nobody liked it. Like, her friends didn't like it. My family was happy for me, but I think they were confused as well because who is this person? Like, we don't know her for real. How you engaged and we ain't even really met her? So yeah, I'm not going to sit here and act like I'm coming from a place of like, I would never. I've done it before. And boy, she was a narcissist too.
At this moment, I'm not sure. I'm like, I don't know if I want to marry her. But at this point, I'm in front of a group of strangers in a place, in a state that I'm not from. And I just felt like I had to say yes. Like, in my head, I'm like, okay, I can always dial this back. I can always tell her later that I don't want to be engaged, right? Damn it, Brittany. Why would you say yes? I know. I can't even explain some of the shit that I did, but, you know, here we are. So, days move on. I start calling and telling people, because mind you, she hadn't contacted anybody from my side to say that she was proposing. So I called everybody that I, felt close with and was like, hey, like, I'm engaged. Everybody was like, nope. So basically, like, I'm going back and I'm telling Melissa, like, yeah, like, everybody, whatever. She's like, oh, you got to cut them off. They just don't like you. Your parents are mad that you're gay. Like, just telling me all this stuff. And, like, in my head, I'm like, okay, well, maybe she's right. Like, all these people are saying no and, whatever. So I'm, like, cutting people off, friends and family. And the more people I cut off,
they love that. Don't ever let somebody convince you to cut off your friends and family. I don't care what the reason behind it is. Don't ever let somebody convince you to do that. It's one thing for somebody to advise that you have healthy boundaries with your family. Totally. I'm all for that. But I'm not with cut off your family, cut off your friends. No, that's a red flag. When somebody is trying to isolate you, that is the first telltale sign that they are planning to abuse you. Don't ever let them convince you to do something that you would not normally do.
the better Melissa is to me. I cut somebody off and she be like, I'm so proud of you. I'm so happy that you did that. And, you're such a strong person.
Positive reinforcements for something that they're forcing to happen that you really would not let happen if you were not otherwise being influenced by them. Bad sign.
Person. So it's like, okay, like, I'm losing people, but I'm gaining strength in this shitty relationship. Now, previously, when we had discussed getting engaged and getting married and stuff like that, in my mind, I'm thinking, like, down the road, a year, or I'm not really sure, but she had said something to the effects of, like, if I get you a ring, I'm hoping you could get me a truck. At the time, she didn't have one. She had, like...
How do we get there? How do we get from here to there? Why do I owe you something for you getting me a ring when you proposed to me? Interesting.
The sedan. So in my head, I'm like, okay, like, a couple of years from now, like, or whatever, like, that's cool. I'll do that. So she proposed on December 6th, I think. And she was already looking for the truck. Whereas, like, within a week, she was like, this is the one that I want. Already. So I'm like, oh, like, she was dead ass for real. Like, if she proposed, like, this is her expectation. So in my head, I'm like, okay, like, I got something. It's like,
and that's why she did it.
Sort of just lost in the sauce right now. And I'm like, okay, like, I got something. So I should, in turn, follow through for what I said. So yeah, I end up signing for her truck. So, boom. Right after that, like, I haven't even got my ring resized or anything. She's like, let's start getting ready to have a baby. And I'm like, like, it's a lot happening real fast. And, like, in my head, of course, like, I want kids, but I wasn't expecting anything to be this fast. And I blame myself because I'm like, how did I just continuously see all of this in my face and just, like, allowed it? So I'm like, okay, I'm not really ready for kids. And she's like, listen, like, we're almost to our 30s. Like, we want that fulfillment. And you say that, like, you have, like, issues with, like, your mental health and all that stuff. Like, I feel like kids would just, like, really complete you. And, like, honestly, I got to a point where I was like, yeah, like, okay, like, I get that. At this point, we're going to the fertility clinic. And I'm using my insurance for the fertility clinic. I'm paying the deductible. I purchased the sperm. I furnished the house. I'm spending a lot of money, and, like, I'm also signed for her to get a truck. So at this point, like, I'm hemorrhaging money, but I'm not really realizing on the back end, like, how much money I'm actually spending. And in regards to money, like, it was no secret that I had, like, a really good corporate job. It was no secret that, like, my parents, were well off. So, you know, like the concept of pulling out my card, it just wasn't like foreign to me because I feel like it should be even. But like the hesitation of her doing it made me lead to have to do it. So we end up having 3 failures at the fertility clinic. And at that point, we decided to take a break. And I found out that I needed to have a surgery to remove a blockage in order to get pregnant. COVID happens. So at this point, everything shut down, shelter in place. And at this point, I feel trapped because we are arguing, we're not getting along, we don't have nothing in common. And I'm telling her every other day, like, I want to call this engagement off. But you call your engagement off and then you go in the next room and you have no choice but to stay there. And for me, I'm like, damn, like, I don't even know how to leave right now. And then I got to admit to everybody that I cut off, like, that I'm a fuck up. And so at this point, like, I'm going to her and I'm like, listen, like, we don't have nothing.
And that's a normal feeling too when you get in an abusive relationship and then they not force you, but they kind of help coax you along with cutting off everybody that you know and love. You feel like crap coming back to those people and being like, yo, I messed up. I was wrong. I was in that situation a lot when it came to my ex, where she would be quite abusive to me, like verbally. There were times where physically a bit, but more verbally than anything else. And I would like try to avoid others, you know, feeling a type of way about it. And I would act weird towards other people, or my dad might feel the need to get involved, and I would be like, no, stay out of it kind of thing, when it's just like, you're trying to defend me because you know that this is wrong. And it happens, and then you feel like crap because you got to come back to them and be like, dang, this is embarrassing, but like, I was wrong, and you were right. 90 Day Fiance. My bad. 90 Day Fiance. It doesn't have to ever be 90 Day Fiance. Why are we doing 90 Day Fiance? That's the thing. It's shows like that really kind of mess up the idea of love beyond the generation that we're in anyway. Where it's like, there's no reason why you have to rush. Who told you that we have to rush? You're already on marriage number 2. Why are we rushing into marriage number 3? You didn't learn anything from marriage number 1 and 2?
It's not just this thing that you get along and all of this stuff. Like, she was making me feel like I was absolutely the worst person because I wasn't like loving her, and she's just acting like she's loving me, and I don't know how to accept it. So throughout that time, like, just a lot of time and space, we ended up having like an explicit conversation, and we were looking through websites for some specific stuff, and she ends up sending me a website that was like for trans individuals. So I feel like sometimes when people want to say something to you, like, they'll send you like a little mixed message and expect for you to say something. So I gave it some time, and I ended up going to her, and I was like, hey, you know, obviously before we decided to proceed with having a baby, like, you sent me this site, and like, I just want to check in with you and see, like, is this something that you like maybe haven't told me, like maybe you're open, like wanting to transition? Because for me, like, if you're wanting to transition, like, this is something you do before you have a child, so you can focus on you becoming a comfortable version of yourself before bringing a child into it. Like, that would be something that I would prefer. So she's like, nope, would never do that, never had the urge, never felt like Welcome to part 3 of Who the Did I Marry? So we end up having 3 failures at just acting like she's loving me, and I don't know how to expect for you to say something. So I gave it some time, like, maybe haven't told me, like, maybe you're open, like, wanting to transition. Because for me, like, if you're wanting to transition, like, this is something you do before you have a child, so you can focus on you becoming a comfortable version of yourself before bringing a child into it. Like, that would be something that I would prefer. So she's like, nope, would never do that, never had the urge, never felt like I, you know, would want to be a man. Like, it's just, I'm a woman, I'm a lesbian, like, that just is what it is. It was very like, I'm telling you what it is, and we don't need to talk about it anymore. Bet. I asked the question, and then I was like, cool, we moving on. So I end up getting pregnant in July 2020, and pregnancy, you know, that, like, I was really focused on being healthy. It wasn't too traumatic during the time of being pregnant. around that January time frame, Melissa suggested that we get married. It's still kind of COVID, and obviously, like, I don't have any friends, and I also don't have any family, so it's not like I'm gonna plan any type of anything. I also didn't have a baby shower or anything like that. And so, okay, justice of the peace in the courthouse in a mask, and I'm, at this point, six months pregnant. And it was just like really important that we got married. And then, like, she was really forcing, like, changing my last name. And, like, honestly, I feel pretty strongly. I want to keep my last name. Never been interested in that. But it was just, like, really, really trying. Now, looking back, it's like you was just trying to get stuff done before I had the baby. Okay, so I have the baby in May of 2021. And at this point, in the beginning, everything was pretty good. Like, when she was at home, like, she was helpful. But then COVID lifted, and it was time for her to go back into work. And luckily for me, like, my job was still allowing me to work from home. And at this point, I have really bad postpartum. I don't feel comfortable taking my son into a daycare. So I'm working from home and I'm taking care of him. And anybody that's a stay-at-home mom, more power to you. I am so proud of you. That is a hard job. And what makes it even harder was the fact that I had to work. And I'm not talking like I'm sitting on a computer or something. Like, I have a corporate job where I'm expected to be on calls. I'm expected to do a lot of activity, and I'm like dealing with my baby, and he's like colicky, and I'm trying to understand his sleeping patterns. Like, it was very hard, and I'm like struggling. Like, I don't have a village. I'm doing this by myself, and it's just like really, really tough. Welcome to part 3 of Who the Did I Marry? Yes, Melissa proposes. Yes, Melissa is still married. But I'll say this, the paperwork for her divorce had been filed at this point. And I know that because I helped file it. Because she's a self-taught dyslexic, or so she claims. Melissa, oftentimes... Welcome to part 4 of Who the Did I Marry? I left off on the part that at this point, COVID was lifting, and I was still work from home with the baby, and she was physically going into work. Now, the type of job that I have, like, it's not like a job where you're like answering phones or, have like a lot of solace. Like, I am expected to be on meetings 6 to 7 times a day. I have like a lot of data entry. It's a hard enough job without a kid. So with one, I was struggling. And then to mention that I also was dealing with postpartum, like, I was just not doing good. And Melissa knew this, and I was very open about like where I was with everything. And at some point, she was like, what would it look like for you to just not work and just take care of the baby, since you don't, want to take him to daycare and so on and so forth. And I was like, yeah, I don't know. I couldn't imagine quitting a job without having another. And, she was like, well, I could take care of the household. Like, you don't have to worry about that. Like, we're together. So I'm going to make sure that that everything's taken care of. So she's working, and I'm a stay-at-home mom at this point. And she's piecemealing me money into the household. I mean, there was a point where, like I said, I don't like to ask for things, but it's getting to a point where it's like, hey, like, I don't know if you know this, but we need groceries, and, it's just like a lot of hesitation. So I'm still kind of paying for things using what I have. And at some point, I'm like, fuck, I think we're struggling. Like, I think we're struggling. Like, I'm not really sure, but I'm pretty sure we're struggling, because I feel like there's like not any money being poured into the household outside of like the direct bills. So I decide that it's time for me to start applying again. So at this point, Melissa decides that she wants to get into a more corporate role as well. So we had a discussion about like places that we would be willing to move to, and we landed on Austin just based off of like the area and like the companies that are here. So she ends up getting the corporate job that she wanted in Austin, and I end up getting and accepting an offer to a corporate job in Austin as well. So it's time to move, and at this point, both jobs have said that they were not going to give relocation until we started work in Austin. So we had to front the cost of relocation. So I asked Melissa what she got on the move, money-wise, and she was like, nothing. I was like, you don't have anything? She was like, nope, nothing. So I have to be in office in Austin in 2 weeks. So I end up deciding to get a loan to front the cost of the move, and then I'd pay the loan off with my sign-on bonus and my relocation when I got here. cool. Her company offered a week in Austin to be able to find a place to live and, you know, to find childcare and all of that stuff. So we head down to Austin for a week to be able to find a place. So one of the first few places that we saw, we liked. So I was like, cool, let's put in an application like this is the spot that I like. So we're waiting on that application to go through, and that whole entire week, she's actually working in office at her job, and I am going around and trying to find a daycare for my son. At this point, we have like 3 days left in Austin, and I still haven't decided on a school, but I at least knew roundabout what I wanted. So we're in the car headed to the school that I thought would be the one, and I get a call from the real estate agent, and she was like, the application is not being accepted. It's not being accepted. Like, somebody's score is too low.
I wonder who scores too low.
So I actually have like a full panic attack, like had Melissa pull over type shit, like I was infuriated from the inside, because now you didn't have the money for the move. I can't get into a spot in Austin. Like, I am not, this is crazy. So that night I started applying to places by myself, and I'm telling Melissa, like, listen, I'm getting approved for spots. I'll just get on the lease. It'll be cool. Nah, she wasn't having that. No, we both need to be on the lease. We both need to be on the lease. We need to find a spot. And I'm like, no, like, it's just impossible.
We both need to be on the lease, but you don't got no gosh darn money, and your credit is messed up, so we can't get a spot. Interesting.
She was like, oh, there was a spot that's like more expensive in a different area, and like maybe we could talk to the guy and he'd be like willing. Everything is telling me not to put her on the lease. Everything. And I'm like, all right, man, whatever. I end up calling the guy. We visit the spot, and he was willing. But I would need to put down a $4,000 deposit. And I want to make it clear that I had to put down a $4,000 deposit. So at this point, the move has to be paid for. So the move-in truck, everything, the deposits have to be paid. I had to put down a payment into the school to save my son's spot. Like, this is not just some little coin. At this point, on the back end, I've started contacting the people that I cut off. I started contacting my friends. I started contacting my family. Like, I needed my village, because at this point, I realized that this was no longer something that I could like continue to maintain. Not by myself, at least. Like, I needed people. I needed people. So it's time to move officially, and we're packing things up. It's a lot to pack up, especially with a kid. And it was the day before the moving truck came, and she was like, listen, you know, I'll take the baby and the dog, and I'll go ahead and go down to Austin, and you could just be here with the movers in the morning or whatever. Anybody that's ever moved knows that, like, when the movers start picking stuff up, like, there is so much that has to be packed. So I'm busting my ass. That night I'm packing basically by myself, because she already left. That morning I'm packing up with the movers, because there's so much stuff that hadn't been packed yet. I'm patching up holes on the wall. Like, I am doing everything to make sure that we don't have to end up paying anything to the renters that we were renting from. So I'm getting everything situated. So the movers got the stuff. I'm headed to Austin. Melissa calls me, and we get to a big argument, because at this point, like, I'm just stressed and tired, and I'm just like going off. I told Melissa, man, you might as well not even unpack your stuff. Like, I don't even want you there when I get there. And like, I was just done. Like, there was nothing. Like, this was the moment that I realized that I could no longer be in a marriage with this person. This is awful. So I'm crying on the way to Austin. Like, I'm crying because I'm just overwhelmed. I'm stressed, and I'm calling all my family. Like, I'm calling my friends, and I'm just like telling them, I'm like, man, like, I have to apologize. Like, I fucked up. Like, whatever. So now we're in Austin. We're both working. The baby is in school, and we're just not doing good. At this point, I have already mentally broken up with her. Every argument was an excuse for me to tell her that I'm done with her, period. So we moved in December of 2022, and at this point, it's like January, February. She ends up calling me one day, and she was like, you know, I think I want to defeminize. At this point, she was like getting into the gym and was like trying to be like really bulky. So she was like, I think I'm going to defeminize. And that was my first time ever hearing of something. So she said she already made an appointment, And then she calls me after the appointment and she's like, yeah, so like these are the changes, like voice changes, all this stuff. So I'm like, okay, like, are you transitioning? And she was like, no, like, I'm not gonna be a he, him. And I'm like, okay, well, like, are you gonna go by they? And she was like, no, like, I'm a she, her. I just want to have like a better body. You know, I want to just look better in the gym, so on and so forth. So I'm like,
That don't even make no damn sense. Go to the damn gym then. Go to the damn gym, take some creatine, some protein. I don't know what the fuck teen you need to take, but you don't need to be a man in order to bulk up at the gym. What are you talking about?
well, welcome. Didn't have the money for the move. I can't get into a spot in Austin. Like, I am thing. The deposits have to be paid. I had to put down a payment into name, and she was like, listen, you know, I'll take the baby and the dog and I'll go ahead and go down to Austin and you could just be here with the movers in the morning or whatever. Like, I don't even want you there when I get, for me to tell her that I'm done with her, period. So we moved in December, like, these are the changes, like voice changes, all this stuff, him. And I'm like, okay, well, like, are you going to go by they? And she was like, no, like, I'm a she, her. I just want to have like a better body. You know, I want to just look better in the gym, so on and so forth. So I'm like, okay, like, I can't stop anybody from doing nothing like that. So she starts that process. And like I said, mentally, I'm already done with this. And we've had some really bad arguments up until this point. It's probably like this February, March time frame. We having a bunch of terrible arguments, and one of these weekends she ends up deciding to go to Dallas, and this person has like a lot of facial tattoos already, and that was like something we had like specific places agreed upon. And they had asked me like before, like, oh, like, how would you feel about me getting more tattoos on my face? And I was like, don't do that. Like, you're already pushing it. Like, don't do that. She gets back from Dallas, brand new ugly ass tattoo on her fucking face. Like, it was the ugliest thing I ever seen. And I was like, why would you do that? And I like went off on her. I was like, you don't care about me, you don't care about your son, like, you look stupid. And at this point, like, I want a divorce. I don't want to be with you. And you could talk to other people, I could talk to other people, let's just go, or you can stay. And at this point, right, I have to be able to afford the place that we're living in. It's more expensive. So I'm like, listen, you can sleep in this room, I'll sleep in this room, we can watch the baby, and honestly, like, you could talk to who you want to talk to. Let's not be disrespectful, and vice versa. Like, I don't want to participate in this anymore. So at this point, we've decided we could talk to other people, and either person was allowed to date. So things started getting really interesting. Welcome to part 4 of Who the Did I Marry? Welcome to part 5 of Who the Did I Marry? I left off on Melissa and I deciding that we would date other people. This was around the February, March.
It's cool. Our relationship just needs to be strictly about Zen and nothing else. The universe was gonna make sure to do what was necessary yesterday after I reacted
2020.
the way I did and became who I became. It just further proves that some people can bring out the worst in you, and those are the people I don't want to be a part of. It just didn't take that. We'd already called it quits, the things you said.
So around May 2023, I met who is my current girlfriend, Ashley. And it was just a whirlwind, love at first sight, no red flags, soft life. And it's continued to be great. Anyways, so I had not at this point given any context to like my dating life. So I get home from this date with Ashley, and I get home pretty late, and Melissa had said something about it, but in my head I'm like, get out of my business, really. And then the next day, I happened to have a hickey, and they asked me about it. Not even gonna lie to you, I lied about it. I was like, I don't know what it is. I don't know where it's from. But, you know, whatever. That next morning, I was in the baby's room. He's fussy. And I get a message from Melissa saying, hey, like, when are you coming out of the baby's room? And I was like, oh, I'll probably be out soon so I can cook breakfast, but I'm still trying to get him settled. And she was like, oh, it's fine. Like, I'll cook breakfast, I come out of the room about 6 or 7 minutes later, and she is going through my watch. And bruh, she is cutting the fuck up. Later, and she is going through my watch.
You up? Snoozed, lol. I'm in his room. I fell asleep, I guess. I'm gonna get us breakfast so you can slide out if you want to, or stay in there. I'll just stay. What time you want him up? 6:30. I'll come get him. Okay. Jumper busted in here. Sorry. I knew it was a hickey.
And bruh, she is cutting the fuck up. She is.
No, she did not cook
cussing.
breakfast.
She's calling me names. You a whore. You this. You that. Like going off. And so she's like storms out. Got my watch with her. And she's just like irate. Prior to this, we had never gone through each other's things. Besides the point, she knew that I was dating. So this reaction to me.
But it wasn't cheating because we weren't together. Screenshot and save this. It's not illegal in Texas even if I did. Okay, Brittany. It only matters in alimony. You don't have to fight it. I get it. No, you want to be smart, so I'm going to educate you.
He was just like out of control. I remember calling Ashley and being like, yo, like this just happened and like I'm shook. Like I don't know what to do. They were continuously calling my phone. Like they would call and I would answer and they would like be screaming in my ear. Like, cause not only are they going through my messages with Ashley, they're going through my messages with my family, with my friends. Like they're going through all of my messages. So I'm feeling unsafe at this point. So I decided to book a hotel room for a couple of days. And yeah, like Ashley joined me. Like she was just a place of comfort. And also like, not to mention, she was going through a divorce as well. So there was just a lot of things that were similar. So the week goes on and I start getting these like crazy text messages from Melissa, like saying like, I need your ring. I need you to give me your ring. Like I need to sell your ring. I need your ring. Like it was continuous.
Where the truck at? Saw the damn truck.
It was constant, and in my head I'm just like, what do you need in the ring for? Like what's going on? And she was like, oh, I bought you a BMW, so I need to get it back on.
I need the ring to pay this shit to show them. That's not a problem, and I can do that. Can we discuss this when you home?
A lot, and I already took it off the lot, so I need the ring. I need the money. I need the money.
The scramble above your ring was because I got you a car for Mother's Day and your birthday. I don't know how locked in I am because you literally cannot think, because I've never felt this way ever in my life from anybody. Cap. Yes, you have. That's my opinion that she has. And get it from someone I thought loved me the hardest and deepest is nuts. I said I never felt a love like this for you. Alright, sorry. I never felt a love like this just for it to all be a fucking game. This is the shit that manipulators and narcissists do. They will treat you like shit. And then the moment that you're like, I'm done with you, I'm cool, I'm good, like, you're not going to have control over me no more, then they start doing this shit.
So she's just going off. And I'm just like, what the F are you talking about? Like, you ain't buying no damn car. So another week goes by. And then Melissa, like, at this point, like, I'm back home, but not very often. It's sort of like work, get my son, separate myself. Like, we're kind of just, like, missing each other on purpose. Melissa ends up asking me, like, can I watch, the baby for the duration of the week, because they was going to go get some sticky socks. Now, I ain't no professional, but...
Sticky socks, to those of y'all that are not aware, means that she is going to a mental facility.
Usually when you get those sticky socks, you are not allowed to have your phone. But for some reason, somebody texted me the whole entire time, to the point where I was like, where are you? Because I ain't never heard of no facility that allows this. Like, you're doing a lot. Like, how are you getting whatever help that you need and continuing to text me and asking me all these questions about, oh, is our whole life is a lie and blah, 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 blah. Like, what do you, go leave me alone. Go do what you need to do to get through what you need to get through. Like, leave me alone. Me and Ashley continue to date, and pretty much like the environment at home was just hostile. Like, they were constantly making comments, like just saying things. Like, it truly uncomfortable. And I had asked them a 100 times, like, hey, you can move out. Like,
it doesn't make sense to uproot
and do whatever you want to do, or vice versa. But like, this is just not working for me. So now we're in July 2023, and I go into the courthouse and file for divorce. I file without a lawyer. I just custody schedule that me and her had discussed and agreed upon. Funny enough, I wasn't out. We're in July 2023. What you need to do to get through what you need to get through. Like, leave me alone. Me and Ashley continue to date, and pretty much like the environment at home was just hostile. Like, they were constantly making comments, like just saying things. Like, it truly uncomfortable. And
would y'all be dating right now in this scenario? I'm just asking for y'all opinions. I'm not here to judge what she did whatsoever. I just am asking. Would y'all currently be dating right now, living in this situation?
I had asked them a 100 times, like, hey, you...
It doesn't make sense to uproot blank and jumper and move so you can move. I'll pick up the rent when you find a place. I'll pay blank daycare. I think if you can be out by May, that'll be acceptable.
You can move out. Like, I'll keep this lease. Like, you could go do whatever you want to do.
And let me just say, like, living with an ex is the most uncomfortable thing you will ever experience in your life. 10 out of 10 do not recommend.
Or vice versa, but like, this is just not working for me. So now we're in July 2023, and I go into the courthouse and file for divorce. I file without a lawyer. I just file your regular paper. I filed to do no financials, and I filed to have the custody schedule that me and her had discussed and agreed upon. Funny enough, I wasn't asking for child support or anything, like just to split school, and that is it. Y'all, this girl goes and gets a lawyer. So I get a response to the very easy divorce that I filed, and it was like, I was like, why would you get a lawyer? Like, there's nothing to fight about. And she was like, oh, well, you didn't mark out the child support line. And I'm like, you don't have to. Like, in the state of Texas, like, you get your custody, I get my custody. Like, it's even. So why would I mark out a state form, like, to please you? Like, what are you talking about? So at this point, I'm on my search for a lawyer. Now, I want to pause the story for a second, and I want to add some information, and I need you to pay attention. Remember, I told you earlier in the video that my girlfriend Ashley at the time was also going through a divorce. Ashley's ex-wife Caroline filed for divorce in May, and in July, Caroline finds out that me and Ashley are dating. Now, if you think one ex is bad, imagine two. This portion is going to be interactive. Here you see me, and here is Ashley. We are girlfriends. Ashley is divorcing Caroline. Caroline has a sister named Kathy. I am divorcing Melissa. In July of 2023, Caroline and Kathy contact Melissa.
they contact each other to swap information about the two of us to basically leverage their divorces and know more information. Now, I just want you guys to know, at this point, me in July 2023, me and Ashley do not know that Caroline, Kathy, and Melissa are communicating. We have no idea. We found this out later, and I'm going to tell you how we found it out, but that's probably going to be in like part 6. But at this point, it's August 2023. My lawyer sends documentation to Melissa letting her know that she had 30 days to leave the house. Because within this time frame between basically July and August, it was just like absolutely horrendous. The household was just unbearable, and it just was no longer a good environment for my child. At this point, she's getting ready to move out. I offered to her a bedroom set. I offered a bedroom set for our son. I offered, a lot of stuff because I'm like, cool, you're clearly like starting over a little bit and I have everything. So if you need some stuff, like I don't mind, donating it. So she declines. Oh, I'm getting all new stuff. I don't need your stuff. Okay. Next thing you know, she starts selling everything out the house. Anything that she bought or any gift she's ever given me, she sold. I had a couch in the garage because I bought a new couch when I got to Austin. That was the couch that I bought in the townhome. She's selling that in the front yard. Didn't even know. Got home one day, couch getting loaded up. But at this point, I'm not tripping because you know what? At least you're leaving. At least we can get, hopefully, this paperwork situated. Now that there's some space, we could just go ahead and be done with this. Right?
Welcome to part 5 of Who the Did I Marry?
Y'all, like, the shit is so crazy, it ain't even freaking funny. Like, what? And again, these are the dangers of ignoring the red flags that you see on date number 1. It's crazy. We're going to get into the end of it later. But for now, I'm taking my butt to bed. Good night, y'all. I will see y'all in my next video. Take some time to process everything that we just watched. Because there's more. But wait. There's more. Alright, bye y'all.